Well, as you can see, the weather is absolutely glorious. I'm very lucky to live in a place that has such delightful weather year-round. This is London, just outside the flat where I live in. We were going to try and go on a little walk around the neighbourhood. As you can see, the weather's fighting us, and so I think we'll go inside in a minute instead. So obviously I spend a lot of my time conducting, but also a decent amount composing too. And along the side of that, there's some teaching. Sometimes I play the organ in church. And I love having such a variety of things to do, actually, in my life. It's always a sort of exciting thing, I think, to have a week where you're doing 3 or 4 different tasks during that week. And that's something I kind of want to keep going in my career. I love the variety that brings and the different challenges. Well, we're here in the beautiful Waterperry Gardens, which is the home of Waterperry Opera Festival, where I'm the music director, and I've just come off the stage conducting Peter and the Wolf. This is now our 4th festival, and I've been really lucky to be the music director since the very beginning. It feels like a real sort of packed few days. It's about 10 days, the whole festival, but we have 7 different productions, and today I've got 4 different performances going on myself. So the whole thing is really busy but really lively. It feels like it grows every year. One of the things I really enjoy about Waterperry most is having this regular opportunity to conduct a full opera production. And I love the way in opera that, of course it's about music, but it's not only about music. Obviously it's always difficult, working with lots of singers and the orchestra, and we're outside to make things even a little bit more complicated. But actually it all feels like it comes together, and I think that's one of the real privileges of opera, is that you have all of these separate rehearsals, and when it comes together, when we have the light display, there's actually some fireworks at the end of our show here, there are vehicles involved, there's so much stuff going on. And that's a real thrill, I think, and one of the reasons that opera is such a special thing. I'm very lucky that I get to conduct opera and orchestral music. I think in a way, the idea that they're different categories of music, for me at least, it doesn't really seem to make so much sense. So many composers, very important composers, made really huge contributions in both genres, Mozart, Beethoven, Richard Strauss, most 20th century composers, Stravinsky as well, they worked in both genres. The things you learn from performing opera can really help in symphonic music and vice versa. Thinking about the ideas of drama and pacing and the sort of speed in terms of the dramatic speed of a lot of opera, I think can really apply to a lot of symphonic music. One of the amazing challenges about being a conductor is there's so much music out there, and you don't by any means have to enjoy performing all of it, but the bigger the width and the breadth of the music that you can enjoy. I think having diverse interests like that is a really useful thing for me. I normally work on this desk here, kind of looking out of the window onto the street, and I kind of like having some sort of view as I'm working, and so that I can, rather than just looking onto a brick wall, I'm looking outside. Sometimes actually the sun comes in onto the desk. The first thing I do with a score is kind of go through the whole piece quite a few times, maybe thinking about phrases first of all, then sometimes trying to listen to it in my head kind of very quickly, almost in fast forward, to sort of get an idea of the structure and the kind of proportion of the piece. Yeah, you can see I don't write too much on my scores, just a few little notes to kind of help and remind me of things as I'm going through. I used to write loads of colours on my scores, and then I decided that actually I ended up reading all of the coloured markings rather than the notes, so I decided to stop doing that. And it's much better, I find, when you just have the notes to look at. But I think, a few more days sitting here at the desk, and it should be all right, I hope. Well, we're now temporarily under a marquee because behind us we have the English summer, and that's the trouble, of course, doing an opera festival outside, that it sometimes rains. So we've come inside and we'll be good to go soon, I'm sure. So I started off actually playing the cello. That was my first instrument, and then I started learning the piano after that, and then eventually the organ. And I still play the organ and the piano. I don't really play the cello anymore. I still have my cello, but I don't think you'd want to hear me playing it anymore. But I think actually having a background on instruments is really important. I like being a musician in lots of different senses. One of the things I like doing most of all actually is just playing the piano for a singer, for Lieder, or that kind of song cycle. And I guess that's kind of connected to opera, is really listening and being able to communicate with those tiny little details. So one of the things I'm working on at the moment is an opera that I'm writing based on Paradise Lost, which is an epic poem by John Milton. And it was written in the 17th century, and it sort of tells the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. So I was really a composer before I became a conductor, and when I was a teenager, I did loads of composing, and that was really where I felt my musical life was heading. And it was at university that I seriously got into conducting. I did have composition teachers, but actually most of the music I listen to and look at and really enjoy is not contemporary music. It's, actually much older music. And I think probably by trying to learn lessons from these composers in the past and their pieces, I think I, through that, sort of gained an experience and hopefully some sort of understanding of this amazing repertoire. And I think that led me more into conducting and performing. So I guess sort of circuitously I got to conducting from composition, but I don't think it was quite a direct link. Adam and Eve, we see them for the first time in the Garden of Eden, and Eve is telling Adam of a dream that she had where she woke up and wandered through the garden, and she saw for the first time her reflection in a river or in a lake, and had never seen anything like that before. And it's about that kind of moment where she obviously sees her face for the first time. So it's quite an important scene for building her character and her relationship with Adam. And now actually I see the two parts of my musical life as actually being kind of similar, and they're both to some extent related to creating sounds, and as a composer you're sort of creating them out of nothing or out of musical notes in the abstract. As a conductor you're kind of bringing something on a page to life. But in both cases I think you have a great deal of choices and a big sort of responsibility, I think, and in some ways I think that responsibility is shared between the two disciplines. And outside music, some of the things I really enjoy doing are travelling, but also I enjoy playing cricket and following cricket, and I don't have to say I don't particularly enjoy many other sports, but I love cricket, perhaps to a slightly sort of obsessional degree.
Terrible.
I think one of the things that will be really important to me ultimately is to find a place that I really love to live and that I can feel I can build my life in there and, have a family and sort of ultimately kind of settle down and feel I live somewhere and be a part of that place. And so, if I manage all of those things, then I'll count myself very lucky. It's interesting to sort of think about when I sort of realised I was going to be a musician for my career, because I've, for a while I sort of toyed with some other ideas, but actually I kept coming back to music of some sort. And I think actually once I'd realised that, so that was, early teens, I guess, I realised that music was definitely the thing. That in a way was a very liberating thing, and it gave me a lot of impetus to keep going with the things I was doing and to focus on the things I really wanted to do. I think now I can't really imagine doing anything other than music in my life, and I guess during COVID probably every musician at some point has thought at least about what they would do if they had to or they decided to leave music. But it's a very hard question, and I think I don't really have a good answer for it. Being a musician and being able to spend all of my time composing music and conducting music and thinking about music is such a privilege, and it's something I wouldn't give up for a lot.